when I was doing shows. This is one for
Jonathan, how many do we have now?
11.
We have 11 online. We have a handful of people here in the auditorium. This one will be a little bit different since we
We came so all my cousins, high school. It's special. It's special. Group have a lot of history. Thank you, Dr. Livingston. Starting all over again.
And ask the way, but I wanted to do documental. It looks like he's talking, but I don't.
Here too, you guys have a
Really,
Are we rolling? Should we still pause?
Yeah, just go ahead and go.
All right, Ms. Palatucci, we're gonna keep this town hall moving. In fact, we're taking this time.
I was trying to figure out what I was saying. I was going through it in my head. No, I really want to piggyback kind of off what everyone was saying is, I've been in a couple different states, I've been in a couple different even SUSD schools, and I always say Coronado just feels good. You know, from the moment I walk onto this campus, I was actually the summer school principal when I started working here at Coronado. Something about Coronado in this complex, we really have heart. The teachers are amazing. They care dearly for the students. Our staff will do whatever it takes, like I have not seen anywhere before. We're always looking for creative, innovative ways to get our students engaged and motivated and excited about learning, excited about their future. And our students are just amazing as well. They're the kindest group of kids I've seen, and they're really kind to each other, which is amazing and something you don't always see in high school. So I go back to Coronado is special because it just has heart. Every single person in the complex has such a great ability to care about themselves and care for education. And then again, this staff just goes over and above for our students every day, and it's just a can-do, will-do attitude here, and we will do, again, whatever it takes for the students here.
Thank you for that. That really resonates, and I love the Coronado has heart. That'll be an image that sticks with me. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Chris Hodo, new principal at Pima, and I'm new to the state and new to this area, and from what I see, echoes what other people have already said. Pima is a definite legacy school, and you see a lot of tradition where mom and dad and uncles and aunts and all type of relatives have attended Pima, and there's a definite sense of Pima pride in our community, and people are very proud of going to Pima. So I'm very proud to be the principal there, and I look forward to all the good things that Coronado has to offer.
Thank you, Mr. Hodo.
Good evening. Chuck Ramtello, principal at Hohokam and Yavapai. In addition to the legacy aspect of the schools, which I can attest to, having taught at Supai, many of my former students are parents now at the elementary school. The schools are centers of the community, and they're kind of rallying points with soccer being played on the fields on the weekend, and they're just tucked into the heart of the community and really fit in and are a big important part of it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Other points of pride, things that really cause the Coronado complex to stand out.
I'm Mr. Only, and actually I've been at Chaparral for many years, for 13 years. And like Palatucci, I worked at summer school right here at Coronado. Now I'm the assistant principal here. And one of the things that really kind of strikes me that I'll share with you is when you walk around, when you have the key that can open every door, there's a lot of history on this campus, amazing history. And one of the places I tell you that stop one day, walk into our library, walk into our gym, look at the banners that date back to the 60s, 70s. Look at all the school photos from year after year after year after year. There's a lot of pride here, a lot of history. And one of the things that never happened to me, I got here at Coronado and I got a birthday card signed by everybody on staff. They do that for everybody here. It's amazing. Everybody really watches out for each other. And they watch out for the students, and they all love each other.
Thank you, Mr. Olney. I appreciate that. Other points of pride.
Hi, I'm Mike Peabody, parent in this complex, Tonawea. Volunteering here, getting to know the teachers and the staff and anybody from the bus drivers on up to you. I have to say that this complex is quite unique in the fact that they actually care. Like, Amy Palatucci over there, Mr. Olney, Dr. Kaminsky, Chuck Ritala. There's not what's the best word to use? There's not an uncaring soul that I've met in this complex. That being said, I mean, there's always room for improvements and everything like that, but you've got a very good group of teachers, staff, and everybody down here that is willing to do whatever they can to help the kids. And that is unfortunately not everywhere. I mean, we've seen a lot of kids glossed over in this district, and a lot of teachers just phoning it in, and I can say that it's not here.
Thank you, Mike, appreciate that. Any other points of pride, any points of pride on the teams?
My Peabody is awesome. That's literally what it says on that page.
Dr. Gonzalez. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Margaret Cerna, and I am the Director of Title I Services, and I am housed here at Coronado High School. I've been in education, hold your breath, 44 years. And most of my administrative experience was in Arcadia. And when I was offered the opportunity to work with Title I schools and to work with the Arcadia complex, I was blown away. I remember working for a superintendent, I think one of the 10, and I remember she said to me, she said to all the principals, if I want to change the trajectory of the school, I can't change the kids, I can't change the parents, I can't change the area. I only have to change one thing. That's the leader at the school, the principal. And the principal is what carries the future and the vision of the school. And I have been so honored to work with Coronado principals, especially during the pandemic, because I know it's been hard. It's been hard for everyone, but it's also been extremely hard in Title I and our most at-risk populations. And I just wanted to give Mr. Prinsky and Ms. Palatucci, Mr. Rentella, and Mr. Hodo, that I've had the pleasure of working with, Joe, and if I've missed anybody, I'm sorry. And also my boss, E.B. Habibat. We have the same vision, and my vision is to do, again, whatever it takes for any child. And I have a team in my Title I department that is very much into innovation, anything that we can do to help our kids. And I just want to give you my promise that I will continue to work with the principals, work with my boss, to make sure that the Coronado complex has everything they need. And also, Dr. Menzel has brought such a breath of fresh air for us. And I just really feel, even after 44 years, that I still am making a difference.
Thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that.
And from the virtual setting, Margaret Cerna is also awesome and only half the woman she used to be. She looks marvelous, and she is just awesome in every way. We're so lucky to have her at SUND. This is a great job I have going here. Wonderful.
Well, just to let you all know, I've lost 65 pounds. So. In 1 year, nobody thought I could do it. There's nothing I love more than you can't do. And I do.
That's the can-do attitude from Coronado.
Anybody else?
Once, twice.
I'll
These are really
take
good.
a turn. I'm so proud of my leaders and assistants and all the community here, because it's been a welcoming time. This is my 3rd year here, and honestly, it is so great to see the heart that Coronado has. Without heart, we can't do too much for our students, and there's so much heart here that everything is possible. And so again, a shout out to my leaders as well as our families, and keep it going. We got this.
Thank you, Dr. Heidi. These are really good points of pride and things to build on. There are so many good things to celebrate, and oftentimes in public education, we hear about the negatives or the things that maybe not going so well, but we need to start by always elevating the things that are working. At the heart and the core of what we do are the students that we serve, and then the people who are serving those students. And every person within our school system has an important role to play. And so as we think about the future,
and we think about not only Scottsdale Unified School District, but more specifically what's happening in the Coronado complex, I'm really interested in hearing what your ideas are, what your thoughts are about what you would like to see in the next decade. If we were to fast forward to 2031, what would it look like to be here in this auditorium talking about the Coronado complex? What will be different for our students? What will they be able to do? What will the success metrics look like for our kids? I'm interested in what you would like to see happen. What are the things, and I want you to dream big. Oftentimes we limit ourselves based on where we are, and we think about all of the things that keep us from accomplishing our dreams. Well, the state doesn't fund us enough, or we don't have a growing student enrollment, or whatever the barrier might be. But I don't want the barriers to limit our dreams for what's possible for our kids in this complex of the district. So I'm really interested in what you would like to see in the next decade. What could we put in place that would make this complex stand out and be a thriving complex full of kids prepared to be world changers? So what is it that you would like to see? Equity. You talk a little bit more, Mike, about what that means when you say equity.
For the longest time, as I've been involved with the district in this complex, the other complexes usually get better treatment, whether it's staffing or programs or anything. So the long view is, yeah, we need more kids here, but with the kids would come equity because we could have all the different programs. One thing that we have right now that we can use is the meetings and the virtual things. So somebody here in Coronado could be taking a class at Chaparral, and then they stay here, their money's here, everything like that. Where in the past, it's like, tough luck, you gotta go up there. If you want this kind of education, you gotta go a different place in Coronado. There's no reason we can't operate here. There's no reason why this can't be the jewel of SUSD again, instead of the redheaded stepchild that it kind of evolved into under previous administrations. That would be my 10-year goal.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Other ideas for where we should be or could be in the next decade? Things that you would like to see happen?
Yes, I have a couple for you, Dr. Menzel. I would love to see a dedicated junior high, not K-8, with a STEM program. And another participant, a legacy of performing arts, incredible soccer athletes, scholarly students who can stand head-to-head with SUSD Best with a growing accelerated math algebra program, teachers who go far above and beyond.
Thank you. Those are really wonderful visions of the future of what's possible. So far, I haven't heard anything that's impossible on the list of what we would like to see in the next decade. Other thoughts or ideas? And there are no bad ideas.
I'll echo a little bit of what Mike said. Some of this, I don't know, is in our control. I graduated here in 1980. My graduating class was 600. So I know times have changed, but we keep having the enrollment flee. Everything flees north. And I've been at Hohokum for 20 years, and I've been on a crusade that, we are good enough. No matter if it was SUPI, whatever, it's like, give it a chance, give it a chance. We've got this reputation that people don't even check out, so we need marketing, we need a lot of attention. I know we need a lot of attention in the district for enrollment, but we need a lot of attention here. I've always said, put a program here that's only here that everybody wants to come to, and this is where they need to come to get to that program. Because we have excess space at this high school. Chuck will attest to, I've been on this crusade in this neighborhood for a very, 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 very long time. Mike's joined me with that, and we just want to see this back to its heyday, or a new heyday. I mean, this was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So, really dating myself.
No, I'm actually familiar with with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So it was one of the first things that was pointed out to me by Ms. Palatucci when I was on the campus for the first time. You know, yes, absolutely. I think that you're spot on in terms of, you know, what's that signature program that draws people? I know what will keep them. What keeps them are the quality teachers and the relationships that people build. But that external view, you have to tell a different story. We've posted for a new communications director. I was tempted to change the title to Chief Storyteller because we have to do a better job in the district of telling our story. That's a critical part of marketing. So I agree with you. It's on the list of priorities. We have a marketing communications committee. Mr. Lindsay's on that along with Patty Beckman. And so, you know, we're working in that direction. But we have a market share that we're not capturing here in the district. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity. Other ideas in terms of what's possible in the next 10 years and what you'd like to see?
I would like to see Coronado invest heavily in the arts. That looks like a wonderful auditorium, and I know Coronado has a huge band program. Also, marketing is anemic, and that needs to be improved. You have these amazing physical assets and great teachers, and let's invest in the arts. It is economical, efficient, and draws students.
Thank you for the submission from teams. Any other ideas or thoughts?
Kind of extending on the idea of marketing, I just think this community is so poised with the freeway access that we have. So I hope in 10 years we have growing enrollment to the point where we maybe have wait lists at our programs from telling our story of what we have. But we really are poised, I think, and I know Dr. Minsky has really done a great job of changing the perception of that school, and Mrs. Palatucci's done a great job here getting the academic performance up. So we're poised to attract if we tell the story.
I love that vision of the future. Wait list in the Coronado complex.
Yeah.
Get in. Any other ideas?
Dr. Menzel?
Yes.
When Dr. Creekard asked me to take this position, one of the main duties he said that I would be doing was equity. Because I am, as all, anybody who knows me, I'm a champion of equity. And when Dr. Creekard put us here, he said he will be working with Dr. Hoggybot and Margaret, anybody can make sure that there's equity for all our schools. It's going to be you, and we do. We take it seriously. Dr. Menzel has been very much an advocate, and when Ms. Palatucci says whatever it takes, we're going to do it. And if there's ever anything with equity or ideas that you have, please share them with us. Most of the best ideas come from forums like this.
Thank you, Margaret. Something else, Dr. Hoggy?
Yes, absolutely. Also, we should focus on computer programming, coding, etc., and make Coronado an arts and technology powerhouse.
Thank you for that. All of these ideas are being captured. The Teams meeting is being recorded, and we'll have the comments that are live recorded. Part of our commitment is to really elevate the voice of people in each of our 5 learning communities. Mike will remember that in the interview process, I talked about Scottsdale unified, but not Scottsdale uniform, because there are unique aspects of each of our learning communities, which actually makes this a very special district. And no matter where you are or where you live in this district, there's going to be an educational program that will work for you, your children and the families that we're serving. But we need to elevate all of our 5 learning communities, and that's part of the unified aspect of the district. As I think you all know, we're working on our strategic planning process to really cast a compelling vision of where we're going in the future. We've been spending all of this year, ever since spring break of last year, actually responding to the pandemic. Who would have thought that we'd be sitting in an auditorium? We're here not because of the size of the crowd, but because we needed to be able to space out while wearing masks in order to address the pandemic. We're going to get beyond the pandemic, and we need to really be turning our attention to what's next. How do we help support our kids that have struggled through the pandemic, who may have fallen behind or may have not engaged in this process? Some of our families made choices to go to other online programs and to do homeschooling. So we're looking at what's next year, but really focusing on what's in the next decade and how do we build towards that preferred vision of our future. As we move towards the third and final part of our town hall conversation, because I don't believe in holding people any longer than we need to, we open it up to Q&A. Just what's on your mind? What are the things that you would like to ask that we can perhaps respond to? And if we don't have answers tonight, we can talk about how we can get those answers. But just an open-ended forum to conclude this evening. I'm just curious, and I know that Dr. Hagengeist, you might have one at the beginning that could start us off.
I don't have that yet, but this virtual audience is very, very active, so I'm counting on them to ask us questions. What I do have is also certification programs in electrical work, contracting, building, etc. If Ryan is successful in getting his infrastructure bill passed, they will need skilled labor, and then programs to educate future teachers who specialize in early education, etc. People should be able to graduate Coronado and be ready to go to the next step. Everyone can get behind that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I think the question that was, I think it was early on when we first logged into Teams, is what's the future of Coronado Complex? And I know this is on a lot of people's minds. We're in the process of having a conversation with the principals in the complex to get the conversation started about what's next. The first thing that I've heard about, and Mike, you mentioned it when we were chatting, is what happens with Ho-Ho and Yavapai for next year. And for next year, they're going to move together to the newly rebuilt Ho-Ho, which is a fantastic facility. And that allows us to be able to do some work in Yavapai that needs to be done. I mean, so we're blessed in that regard. We have the ability to move, just like when we moved to Yavapai in order to allow the rebuild to happen. That's a wonderful thing for us. We also know that we have a pinch point here in the complex. And so Tonalea K-8 is pretty full. And it's the only middle school serving this high school. And so when you have that pinch point, it impacts how you can ensure you have enough students to be able to feed into the high school system. So there are a number of options that are possible related to how we can reconfigure to make that happen. But I believe that process is really important. So it's easy for someone in central office to sit back, look at the map, and make a decision. But it's not the way to make those decisions. What's really important is to engage the broader community. When the community supports and participates in developing the plan for the future, that plan will be successful. When an idea is imposed on a community, it virtually is guaranteed to fail. So our commitment is that we're going to engage the community, having a really authentic conversation about what's possible and what's necessary in order to create a vibrant and viable pipeline from kindergarten all the way through high school in Coronado Complex. I don't think it's a lack of students. I think it's about how we're structured in order to be able to sustain that system. So I'm looking forward to the conversation, but that's part of what is on the horizon for the complex. Other questions or?
Hi, my name is Lisa Sampson, and I'm a neighbor and community person who had my daughters going to Tonalea Elementary School when it was at 68th Street in Oak. And one way I believe that we can engage the community is to listen to the community. And our neighborhood has been attending the visioning meetings for the old property. We're all very invested, and one of the reasons that you keep seeing my face and my daughter's face, because we have a proposal for Scottsdale Unified School District for that property that we feel is a very viable option. I realize you're going ahead with listening to other proposals, the one in particular for Phoenix Rising right now, and you're in negotiation, I realize that. But I wanted to encourage you, and I hope that you will be at the visioning meeting on April 15th to listen to what the community says. Because having attended all the visioning meetings thus far, except for the one in January, the community is not on board. It seems like it's 2/3, maybe 70, and I really hope that the district listens, because the impact of dropping something into a historic community where we've been doing luminarias in our neighborhood for over 40 years, and we're just a very cohesive, wonderful group of, sometimes the owners are there for 50 years, you know. One of the couples that showed up at the last visioning meeting said, you know, this house belonged to my parents, we've been here since the 50s. But there was a lot that happened on that property even before it was developed over 60 years ago. So Southwest Native Agricultural Center is another viable option. And I really hope that the district listens and understands this is a viable proposal as well. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that.
I have another comment from our virtual attendees. The focus on struggling kids is great and so important, but the families who do not have struggling kids are all going to Mojave Saguaro. They have a CGP and strong focus on STEM. The future of the school depends on keeping these families in the community. We really need a great program for junior high and high school.
I think we would agree with that. I don't know if Dr. Kaminsky or Amy would like to speak to the some of the things that we're working on that would be, you know, hallmarks of the academic program and offerings here in the Coronado complex.
Before you do that, Ms. Palatucci, we're having sound challenges again.
No.
A lot of feedback now. It's clear?
Yeah, there's no issues. We're good.
Thank you.
Okay, no, but. Am I good? Thank you very much for that. So when I talk about our students, I do like to say that we are looking at each student individually, kid by kid, skill by skill, and that includes not just our struggling students, but also our high performing students and our students in the middle. When I started 3 years ago, we definitely were looking at trying to grow the academics here as well as the academic perception in the community. And one thing we worked hard to do was to bring pre-AP to our school. So we started this year piloting the pre-AP program, and we offer that in our freshman and our sophomore English. We also offer it in our sophomore social studies classes. This year, we are the only school that's offering that, so that's a huge honor for Coronado. It's been very successful for our students, and for those of you who don't know, it goes along with the advanced placement program through College Board. So that's one step. Next year, we'll be adding science for both our freshmen and sophomores, as well as math for our freshmen and sophomores. And I do believe we'll be the only school that it will be officially a pre-AP school that will be offering all of the subjects. So that is one thing we're working on. We've also grown our enrollment in advanced placement courses, as well as dual enrollment courses where students are able to earn college credit while they are in high school. So we're also working on, I mean, there's so much in the works, but I'll just mention one more thing. We're working on a Promise Scholarship with the Coronado Foundation for the Future, where, yes, thank you, Mr. Peabody sits on that board with me. We are working to ensure that there will be college scholarship money for any student in the Coronado complex. So we're working on making a two-way promise. The students will promise us that they will do their best, attend school, do what they need to do to be successful, and then in turn, we promise to give them the best academic education possible, as well as social emotional supports to be successful as an adult, and then there will be money waiting for you. This year, we're able to offer 13 scholarships to our students. This is in addition to the scholarships that they can go out and get just like anybody else. These are 13 scholarships just for the Coronado complex, and they are for $5,000, so they'll pay for your entire degree at the community college or most of the Avid programs. Typically, we have had 3 of these scholarships. So again, this is the first year we're offering 13. We're very proud of that. As of last night, we had 29 applicants for those scholarships. And if anybody wants to learn more, my office is always open, and I love bragging about Coronado and our students.
And you can write a check to?
Yes. We love it.
This is tax credit.
Coronado Foundation for the Future, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to preface this by saying, you know, I am colleagues and friends with Principal Asmussen at Mojave and colleagues and friends with Principal Oxing at Sorrel High School. but I'm also a very competitive individual as well. So if you put Mojave's programs on paper, and Tanalia's programs on paper, minus the CGP that was mentioned in the online chat, it's going to look very similar. So we are offering the honors and the accelerated. The algebra one, that's going to be a pre-AP course, leading kids into Coronado High School. A lot of the, if not more, elective choices. And I also wanted to mention, you know, for a long time, the focus for our complex has been providing our kids with pathways and beyond K-12 education. And so I really want to compliment Chuck and some of the work he's been doing with our Avid program at Yavapai and Hohoka. And we were able to pilot that this year. We're going to be going full 6-8 next year, leading into Coronado High School as Amy works on setting Coronado Dons up for high school graduation and then pathways beyond high school. So the systems are being built and are getting stronger with regards to, you know, what we are offering, and more importantly, starting to build more awareness in these pathways into Coronado High School and beyond. Next year, you know, I'm proud to say, I don't know if this is the formal announcement, but we are opening up right in the front of our school, we're opening up our Avid College and Career Center, and with the vision being that, you know, this is really a hub for Tanalia K-8 students to start doing more interest work for the future, all the way down to, you know, first, second, third grade. So that's exciting. I'm also going to add, you know, I think we need to look at the data, and I do not have the data in front of me, so this is very off the cuff. But Mr. Antala, you and I were on a message, I think, as early as this morning, with regards to, you know, how many future sixth graders do I receive at Tanalia K-8? And currently in Mr. Antala's fifth grade cohort, which we keep in mind, that's a combo, Yav and Bobo cohort right now. I think you had stated that on or around 10 students will be heading to Mojave, and the remainder will be heading to Tanalia K-8. Pima, geographically, is a different conversation, and maybe a conversation we need to have. You know, geographically, if a child lives closer to Mojave versus Tanalia K-8, I don't so much have a dog in that fight as much as I do when I meet and get the opportunity to meet and tour Pima Panther parents, and they're able to step on my campus, and they're able to see, going back to the, you know, on paper comparisons, not to mention just the beautiful environment of the campus of Tanalia K-8 and the rock solid faculty that we have in terms of our instruction, the culture, and the care for our kids. I do have a dog in that fight, and Mr. Antala, I appreciate your compliment in terms of changing the perception of what's happened, you know, not pointing any fingers, just to, you know, over the years in terms of the middle school and just the culture, the perception. So I always say, you know, similar to how Amy just said, please come to my office and let's talk. Please come to my school and I'll walk you around the entire school. And I think our governing board members can attest to that. I'll take you to every nook and cranny, every single room. You can see the instruction that's happening. You can see the engagement. We can talk about programs and these pathways that we're able to set up for our kids heading over to Coronado High School.
Thank you, Dr. Karniski. I think we had a comment or a question over here.
En español está bien, aquí le ayudo. Acá estoy.
Gracias. Bueno, buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Bueno, soy nueva aquí en el lugar, el senior, entró en el 12, para él ha sido algo nuevo todo esto. Yo desde aquí presente y escuchar cada una de las propuestas de ustedes, siento que es algo fabuloso y grandioso porque me doy cuenta que están considerando
Un minuto, señora Nieto. Me da mucha alegría escuchar. It's really nice to hear how wonderful everything is. Continúa y me da tiempo para traducir.
Porque se preocupan por el mañana al analizar cómo quieren que el distrito sea en 10 años, ver las necesidades que se están presentando.
You worry
en la
about
actualidad.
tomorrow as you see the needs that are being presented.
Porque lo que ocurrió este año con la pandemia ha sido distinto de muchas décadas, desde posiblemente la infancia desde nosotros, no había ocurrido hasta este momento. Yo considero que si mi propuesta como padre de familia de 10 años, que sería interesante que agregaran de programa, lo mencionó hace ratito usted, sería el área de las artes, porque ahí los niños pueden, jóvenes desde preescolar, primaria, secundaria y high school, pueden expresar sus emociones, ya sea a través del lienzo, artes en todo tipo, a través del baile, música, canto, porque ellos llegan a una etapa donde sus emociones están descontroladas y no saben en sí lo que quieren, y es una manera de canalizar sus emociones y de expresarlas. Y es una manera también de que el estilo de aprendizaje de cada uno sirva para que sepan qué van a querer 10 años más al salir de aquí. Me agradó mucho también lo que comenta la directora para Tusi, sobre todos los apoyos que hay para los jóvenes para que continúen sus estudios, porque hay familias que sí tienen la oportunidad de brindarles ese extra, ese estudio universitario a sus hijos, hay otros que no porque no quieran, sino que su situación no se lo permite. Pero como dicen, el que busca, encuentra, y es una de las maneras que hay que apoyar. También me fascinó el comentario de la señora aquí presente sobre el involucrarse en la comunidad. Es muy importante, la verdad, que la comunidad esté siempre involucrada en todas las acciones de la institución, porque lo que hay dentro de la institución se refleja en la comunidad y se genera una armonía, una paz, y todos esos problemas sociales que hay fuera de casa, fuera de plantel, que es lo que no queremos para nuestros hijos, que ya los conocemos, que son vicios, drogas, asaltos, suicidios, etcétera, todo eso se iría reduciendo.
Gracias, and here it goes. With all the different situations that have taken place in the pandemic, it's great that we are able to consider some of the supports, and it's also wonderful that we're looking at planning for the 10 years. It is great to see that it was shared about the arts, because all kids can express their feelings. They get to really share how they're feeling and show their emotions through the arts and be able to share those pieces where they can feel perhaps that they are out of control, and it is a way that they can express themselves. The way of learning is also different, and through the arts, it's important to be able to allow them to express their feelings. I like all the support that Ms. Palatucci talked about. It is great to bring that support for our families. Some families can support and others cannot, so it's great to be able to rely on the school. We'd love to see what else they can find, along with family involvement. It is important that our community is involved. There are a lot of issues that take place outside of our school walls, such as drugs and other things that may pull students away. So it's very helpful for our schools to be involved and work together for our students. Did I do a good job? We have an interpreter in here and I decided to take over. Wow. Okay, I'm getting a thumbs up. So, señora, muchas gracias por su valor y por ayudarnos y por estar aquí. Y a la próxima quiero que nos invite otros 4 o 5 amistades para que yo personalmente los conozca. Gracias. I'm just thanking our parent for her courage and for expressing her thoughts. And I also asked her to bring at least 4 or 5 other friends so that I can meet them as well. Gracias.
That was excellent. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Any other questions or comments before we conclude this town hall? Again, this is just the first of many that we'll have. President Greenberg.
And I do have one, Dr. Menzel, here after President Greenberg.
Okay, well,
Well, I was just gonna say, actually, going back to the first question, I think diversity is the thing that makes our district great. I think this was an excellent example of it. I think our district is an excellent example of it, and this learning community is an excellent example of it. To Mike's point about equity, that is such an important focus. And we had mentioned the marketing committee. We actually have a diversity, equity, inclusion steering committee that is working on these. Board member Snowski is a member of that, and they're doing work to focus on that area. So I think that's another point of pride that we really need to focus on. And it goes hand in hand with the equity comment that I made earlier.
appreciate that. Thank you. And on the line, Dr. Hodges?
Yes, so you mentioned the possibility of change with elementary and middle school. Can you speak to the options that are being considered?
So the things that we're looking at is we have several different physical assets within the Coronado complex. So we've got Yavapai that we're currently occupying that will not be used next year but can be renovated so that it's prepared for more students. We've got the newly renovated Hohokam. You can tell me if I'm pronouncing it wrong because I'll get it right eventually. Then we have Pima, which is not completely full yet. And then the Tanalia K-8 building, which is a combination. You know, I think most of your building is still 6 to 8 students, and then you've got a smaller group that are the, do you have some preschool in your building as well? Title I pre-K as well. So when we're looking at that, the question is there a better way to use the facilities that we have available in the complex in order to grow the number of students that are being served in order to feed into Coronado High School? Because we are definitely at a lower enrollment level than is possible to serve in this high school. And so we're looking at how do we deploy the physical assets we have with the educational programming that's designed to meet the needs of our students and ensure that we've got a comprehensive educational program pre-K through post-secondary available right here in the Coronado complex. Did that answer the question?
It's a great start. I wasn't sure if you were wanting my opinion. Yes, it was wonderful. I do have a couple more. On a constructive basis, I would say that these sessions are very nice, but I think that the fact that there are so few community members, parents, etc., at this meeting, that it speaks to the challenge you are facing and reaching out to the community. It is not surprising to see Mike Peabody here because he shows up, volunteers, countless hours, etc. The definition of a contributor. It is also good to see Julie Snapsky, Zach Lindsay there, and Michael Greenberg there. Also for Greenberg, I might say Hair Club for Men. Or that black spray paint. All kidding aside, I think that board member Greenberg volunteers as a math teacher in the Coronado complex. Does he still do this? I did read it beforehand, President Greenberg, so that I knew that it had a happy ending. They're very happy of your contribution.
Thank you, Dr. Hagen. We'll talk about some editing in the future. I think Mike had a question or a comment here.
So out of curiosity, I know you're from the Michigan area and your exposure to Arizona education system has been interesting to say the least during the COVID times. But I'm sure you've heard about the charters and the privates and how they've been taking away our kids. Have you guys had any opportunity to talk about what to do, how to bring that in? I know we've talked about marketing, that's a huge part, but the other part's about how all our schools usually are better than the charter schools, they're better than private schools. How do we attract those people? Have you given that any serious thought?
We have, and I appreciate that. So Michigan, like Arizona, is a choice and charter state. And so we were competing for kids and all the money followed the student, which creates a very different dynamic. And there are winners and losers in that because it's a zero-sum game. When you look at Scottsdale Unified, we serve about 55% of the market share, which is just really almost incomprehensible when you look at the quality of educational programs that we have. So part of the conversation is why? Why are parents making other choices for their students? And we've started, as parents are disenrolling their students, to be more systematic in collecting information about why they're leaving. 25 to 30% are moving out of the area. That's hard to retain students that are moving out of the area. The others, the reasons range from they didn't feel like there was enough academic rigor in the particular building they were in, or they had some issues in terms of conflict, whether it was with an individual teacher or with some other family members. And so what we're doing is trying to understand with some degree of granularity what the reasons are that parents are making other choices. There's some parents who are going to make a faith-based choice for their kids regardless, and we're providing public education. So I know we're not going to get 100% of market share, but we should be doing a lot better than 55%. I would expect that we should be able to capture closer to 80% of the market share in a community like this and attract from the surrounding areas. So to Chuck's point earlier, the 101 here really presents an opportunity. We have hundreds of thousands of people coming through our community all the time. We're easy on and off in terms of parents making this a choice for their children. And so I think part of it is telling the story. Part of it is you need, pretty marketing materials, that helps. But the most important marketing material is the word of mouth, is how we talk about our school system. It's the moms at the playground and the play groups that are having conversations with each other. In the preschools, what conversation are we having about what the educational options are? And how are we ensuring and guaranteeing that every child, no matter what school they attend in Scottsdale Unified School District, is going to be given the skills and support necessary to achieve their full potential? It's nice to talk about it, but when we can really show the results that our kids are going, after they leave Scottsdale Unified, they're going on to do really great things, and we capture those success stories, then you create a self-fulfilling prophecy in terms of this is what we say it is, and people can see the proof in terms of the success of our graduates. And so I think it's kind of putting that all together. We have anecdotes. We need to have a systemic way of telling the story. And I believe that'll help us draw back many of the families that we've lost. I also would say that there's a body of evidence in the research that talks about leadership continuity. And if you look at our principal level, for example, if you have a new principal every 2 or 3 years, your buildings aren't going to be successful. If you can't retain high quality teachers in your buildings, your kids will not be successful. And so attracting and retaining talent at all levels of the organization is also essential to being able to build the confidence. Because as you look at, and for those who have known and seen people go through, we have teachers who stay, and then those parents who were students in that teacher's classroom are saying, that's where I want my child to be. It's really transformative. And so I think it's a combination of all those factors that help us really be everything that Scottsdale Unified can be.
We have one more online here. Is there a possibility of the campus stepping in to meet some of other needs of the community, medical center or medical clinic or something that might help some of the members of the community?
It's a model that's been implemented in a lot of other places around the country in terms of being more than just an educational facility, but truly serving the entire community in different ways. We have the space to actually do it here and maybe even in some of our other facilities in the Coronado complex. And really, one of the values of public education is this, that we are a part and parcel of what defines the community. And so I think that those possibilities are definitely on the horizon. And we want to think about how do we do this in partnership with the other players in the community so that we're serving not just the students, but the students and families with an idea towards ensuring that as a community, everyone is thriving. We don't want to just get by and we don't want to be just good enough, but we really want our kids and community to thrive. And so to that point, I think that there are opportunities to build and enhance partnerships with other organizations that serve our families as well. All right. Are there any other final comments? If not, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules. It's a Thursday night. It's a beautiful night here in Arizona. I find that there are 355 beautiful nights in Arizona, at least so far. And I think you should enjoy the rest of it. I'm looking forward to continued conversation. I want to thank our leadership team and the governing board for being here this evening. Mike, I want to thank you for coming out and for all the work that you do in supporting our schools as a volunteer and parent. I want to thank the people who are online. All of the communication, I want to thank you for your comments this evening. All of the feedback that we get from our community is absolutely essential as we're taking the next steps to ensure that our students are prepared to compete with anyone around the world. So this is the beginning of continued conversation, and I hope you all have a great evening and a great weekend ahead. Thank you.